Oh. It wanted to play for a second.
We missed our whole intro song.
Who cares? That means...
I didn't get to do my air drumming.
Morning. Happy Monday, everyone. Happy Monday, Kelin.
Morning.
I have a bunch of stuff I want to talk about, but you get first crack at it.
No, I don't have anything interesting. You hate my topics. They're all stupid.
But listen, the people, that's just me. The people who listen to this show really like your topics. No adjectives. No adjectives. Just topics. What topic you got?
I really don't have much. I don't have much. I have one curiosity, only because I experienced this yesterday.
Yeah.
You ever go grocery shopping with your kid?
Yes, all the time.
You ever been slammed into by the shopping cart from your kid?
No.
Oh my God. I feel like if this hasn't happened to you, like, are you even a parent if your kid has not flat tired your shoe, run into you with the grocery cart? My kids love to push the shopping cart at the grocery store. This chick smashed my Achilles tendon yesterday. Mm-hmm. I mean, this has happened before, but this was like, couldn't walk, doubled over the cart. Mm-hmm. So many F words coming out of my mouth. Like, this was a bad one. And I'm just like, I feel like parents can relate to this. I don't think it's just me.
All right. So my kid doesn't do that. What do you think the difference is?
Does your kid, like, I don't know, pay attention to where they're going and if someone's standing in front of them?
But I started teaching logistics and physics and geometries and mathematics when he was 5. So he understands. Like, do you think your kid's just being mean and running into you?
No. Yeah.
But it's a void. It's a blind spot, right?
Yeah.
So you as a mother, it's incumbent on you now that it's a little late because they're trashing people through just not having good proximity sensing. It's up to you to write that. It's not too late.
Oh my God. I mean, in that grocery store. I mean, she could tell too. She was like, I'm sorry. And I was just like, if I could speak right now, I'm like fighting to breathe. It hurts so effing bad. Oh.
But I will say you owe it to them to teach those lessons. Okay.
Oh, I think she learned real quick the severity of the situation. Mm-hmm. Like, I couldn't walk for a minute. Like, had to stand there because I couldn't like put weight on my foot.
Right.
We get to the car, it's bleeding. Like, it was just she got the gravity of the situation that I almost needed to be like, I don't think we need to discuss this and what just happened. I think you see what you've done. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe pay attention if you're driving the cart next time. But then I can't even blame her. Like, what night was it? Saturday night, I think it was. We decide on the way home from dinner, let's pull into a neighborhood and look at Christmas lights. All these beautiful Christmas lights on these houses. And as we're looking out the window, our car goes, as my husband has to hit the brakes because he almost hit a parked car. And I'm like, what are you the driver can't be looking. You drive or you look. You can't do both. He's like, I know, I'm fine, blah, blah, blah. So now I see where my daughter gets it.
Yeah. Whole family of wrecking balls.
I wonder why I'm always on edge and I'm always anxious and scared. Because I live with a bunch of wrecking balls.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is.
So, I believe in mathematics, and I think the world deficient and people that have no relationship with mathematics is the wrecking ball. And that is most people. You are amongst friends, right? 90% is what I'm going to throw out there. Just have no relationship with mathematics. And just like
I feel like I have a relationship with mathematics.
You do?
I don't think I do.
Okay. Well, that's most people. Thankfully, you bred and created more mathematically inept people. I mean, that's great. I guess
they're better at it than me.
Okay.
So we're screwed.
I've been telling you for 3 years now that we're doomed and screwed because of normies. So let's talk about the. I watched a bunch of. I don't know, on a regular cycle that we have academics, college graduates that look at their student loans and they're like, this thing's going to be around forever. I still owe what I owed on it before. And it's the same exact complaint.
Yeah.
Right? But it's always the same conclusion. Like, do you think college loans are predatory?
Kinda.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you think they're dumb?
Kinda.
Do you think they're 4 people that are really bad at math?
Probably.
Yeah. Would you make, if you saw some bright college student that you wanted to make sure got a good education, would you take money out of your bank account and loan it to them?
No.
Why? Why?
It's like a really.
So when you loan money to
I don't know.
when you loan money to people, do you want to be paid back?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's my money.
Okay. So you like have $100,000. You can be like, kid, you're awesome. I'm going to give you $100,000. And the kid's like, well, I'm at college. I'm not going to be working, so I can't pay you anything back.
Yeah.
Right. And then so you're like, why don't you just give me the interest? Don't even pay the principal. Just like while you're at school, pay the interest. Right.
Yeah.
And then so when you're paying the interest, let's just say it's 5% interest. You're getting that money back. Are you happy that at least you're getting the interest?
I mean, I guess better than nothing.
Okay. Because without the interest, you wouldn't loan the money because you're not going to like sell money for free. That's a gift. That's not a loan.
Yeah.
Right. And so they pay you just the interest. So at least you're a little bit happy because at least they're paying the interest. But when they get to the end of their 4 years of academics, and if they go 6 or 8 years, now it's 8 years that you've been paid none of the principal back. They still owe you $100,000. So they get to the end of 8 years and said, I paid you so much money. But by the way, 5%. How many years at 5% does it take to double the amount that I owe you?
We just established I'm not the math person.
Okay, so what's 100 divided by 5? 20, right? 20. So if, like when you buy a savings bond, do you know why it doubles every 20 years? Because they're paying you 5% interest. So you buy, we'll say a savings bond that you pay $10 for is worth 20, right? It's going to double in 20 years. They're paying you 5% interest. That's the way savings bond works. So if you go 8 years or 4 years without paying any of the principal, right? What do you think has happened? If it's 20 is meaning double and you've gone 4, what is 4 out of 20 is 25%, right?
Uh-huh.
And so you have gone a quarter into doubling, right? So you're a quarter of the way. Now you owe more money, right, on it, but you paid the interest. So it just stayed the same.
Yeah.
Right. And so every one of these little woke leftists that have no relationship with money, when in education, they bought a really expensive product, almost like a car a year in product, paid no money towards principal, allowed that to accumulate over the entire career, get to the end of it and know if they don't make a huge chunk of principal payment over the next 6-7 years, right? You got 4 cars. Think of your education as 4 cars parked in your driveway that you bought and paid no principal on. Now, how long does it take you when you get a home loan? They give you 30 years on that sucker to pay it down.
Yeah.
Right? You're doubling it. You're getting a 6% interest rate. It's a bond. It's going to double before you paid for it. But you paid the full payment, the principal and interest from the very get-go. The longer you defer non-payment on a loan that you took from someone, the more money you're going to owe when you actually get a job that you can afford it. So you're sacrificing years of your career in your salary and giving it to a financial institution or an academic institution or the state, right?
Yeah.
To get that paper on the wall.
Oh, yeah. And I did it. I mean, I was very, very lucky in that we had some money saved up specifically for college that my family started when I was a kid. And I used it towards college. So I only took a loan out for 1 year. Like my senior year in college, I had loans for. And that literally, if anybody needed the best example of throwing your money away, that's what it was. Because they'll say, all right, here are your 2 loans. You got to make this payment every month. You're a college kid, just graduated, most likely not making a lot of money. Okay, but I'm making my payments every month. And you watch as your balance never decreases.
Yes.
You just pay it and it stays the same.
So when you take that loan, do they give you documents that basically tell you how this is going to work? Could you waterfall it forward and find out if then statements about what will happen if you do that before you sign? Do they tell you all the information to know how that's going to work out?
I don't even remember.
Yeah. Well, college students should be at least good at whatever they're signing, they're okay with.
Yeah. And like explain in detail. By the way, these are your monthly payments. And if you make just that monthly payment, you will get nowhere.
Okay. So you said they're predatory. What are they preying upon?
A kid not realizing that if you keep making these monthly payments, you will get nowhere. And you're just giving us your money.
Are they praying because they didn't give you the information, or they're praying because a kid didn't read the information? It's predatory if they hide it from you and then you're like, oh, you got me. It's not predatory if you take a dumb kid and they do dumb things and they end up in a dumb place.
Like the credit card people on campus. Hey, we'll give you free food. Sign up for this credit card.
Yeah.
Okay.
High interest because a high default rate. That's not predatory. That's exactly giving you what you're asking for. I want to go to college, buy 4 cars, not have to pay for it for a really long time, and get trapped in an endless cycle of my interest is so high on something and I'm sacrificing too much of my professional career. So let's course correct, right? Mm-hmm. Let's do it the right way. All right. Let's not issue loans except for people who freaking read it and can tell it back to me what you're getting into. And as long as you're cool with what's getting into it, we make no loans on people who are too stupid to receive loans, because stupid people who don't know math shouldn't be going to college anyway. It should be reserved for people of high intellect. They should be institutions of higher learning, not everybody gets to go. So
devil's advocate, you don't think it should be used to make lower intellect higher? Like go to college and better?
Right. Before you go to college, the first thing is intro to entering into a financial obligation 101. And before even getting that loan, you have to understand math enough to be able to sign that document.
Yeah.
So it's a single course, costs $800, and I'll teach you how to either enter into that willingly or say, hell with that, I'm not doing that. So let me give you the what I did. It was harder. Did I go to college?
No.
2 semesters, right?
Oh, you did?
2 semesters. And I paid for it out of cash, right? I wrote the check.
Where'd you go?
Why should you?
Okay.
Wrote the check to the bursar's office with every class that I took. And I was like, $1,200. That sucks. I worked an entire summer to get to $1,200. So I worked really hard at a grocery store and anything that I can get, right, to pay for the next semester. Eventually, my costs were higher than what I could afford. So I had the brilliant idea, because colleges publish all of their curriculum. And I had my peers who were going and taking the classes that I would be taking at the time. And so I looked at what they were learning, and guess what I did? At a time where information was not as accessible today, I went and learned the same things, but I didn't pay a college to do it. I took it upon myself to stack the books high in my office and read the books on my own. And I was like, all it cost me were the books, right? I didn't need a professor to sit in front of me.
Which you have to buy anyways to take the course.
Okay. So then I cut my costs by taking the professor out of it, and I just stacked the books and I read the books on my own, and I did the studies on my own, and I did the testing on my own. I did the certifications on my own. So I paid for college by just buying the same shit that anybody could buy. And now everything a professor could say in that classroom is on YouTube for absolutely free.
You probably worked harder than the students sitting in the classroom.
Yes. While they were partying 100%. And taking it
falling asleep, here's not showing up.
I don't know if you know this, but humans, when they are not forced into something, they only do what they're forced into, right?
Yeah.
Me, I was self-motivated. So I went and did the thing, and nobody was telling me to do that. I was just peeking in, right, to see what everybody else was doing. Yeah. And I went off and did that on my own.
You're like, I can do this.
100%.
You know what? You could say, I could do this, and I don't need to be a part of the mandatory group project where no one else works.
Right. Exactly. But if you corral a bunch of really dim-witted college students who are eager to pay 4 cars worth of value in something that they wouldn't even do on their own if they could, then you have a bunch of people who are going to go into the workforce who are the worst. We don't want those people in the workforce. Yeah. I want to reserve higher academics for ambitious people who are actually smart. I want everybody else to get on the treadmill and create the energy that the rest of us are going to need to make those things happen. You need to have dumb and smart. I know great intentions to put everybody through college, but what if not everybody should go through college? Because they're just going to get on TikTok and they're going to complain about all the things, the decisions they made are somehow they're not their fault. That's going to be the rest of their life, blaming other
Yeah.
people for what they should have known on their own. And that's my complaint.
I mean, even in my experience, and not that I regret going to college, it was an experience that I did get something out of, but it is interesting to see once I graduated and I was in the working world and I had my degree, and even maybe I was even in the field of my choosing, so many other people that were either on a level higher than me and or making more than me never went to college or didn't do the same thing.
Okay, so is college a scam? Is it a scam?
I don't know if I'd say it's a
The person that bought the car is always going to feel bad that they paid so much for that thing on the wall, even though it's meaningless. In any other marketplace, if you experienced what you did and were sold a product that had, you could have got value in a different way.
Yeah.
You feel differently about it. You've been had. And I know you're a victim of this, a victim of your choices, but you were scammed. And I want to tell you.
To say it's a scam to me sounds like there was zero benefit. Like it was just all you got hosed and you got nothing in return. And I don't feel that way from my experience. I feel like I did get something out of it.
All right. So here's the way to test it. I want you to take the same exact money that it costs you going through college. Right. And I want you to buy the same information. I want you to buy the same classes and write every one of those checks. And every time you write a check, I want you to rate what value you got for every check that you wrote, every class that you took, every professor that mailed it in, every test. And then in the end, when you take the aggregate of everything you paid, what that piece of paper got you versus if you wouldn't have got that paper, and see if you would still make that one check right today. And if you wouldn't, it's a scam. No matter how you dress it up.
To be honest, what actually set me on a course to do what I wanted to do was an internship that I started before I had to.
Right. So I'm going to say it's a scam, but it's a social scam. There is pressure from society to make everybody go to college and demean people who don't go to college, like me, right? And I will go toe to toe with any academic ever. You know how much I would own every academic, because all right, let's go back to the beginning of the conversation. Predatory, whether or not it is a predatory engagement. So you have a system that basically expects every high school graduate to go into college, but basically a sales pitch for something. Pick any other industry. What if any other industry took a direct slide into somebody's business, right? So when you do this, you're going over there. You as a consumer would be like, don't force me to go into this thing and pay a bunch of money for what you want me to do. I'm going to figure out how to do this on my own. That's the industrial, the industrious minds of, our normal biologies is just figure it out ourselves and be independent. Mm-hmm. It's a scam because we corral people into an institution that they got to go in debt for, right? And then complain about the value of what they were sold.
So if it were not something you went in debt for, but they still pursued you, less predatory?
Who pursued you?
Like if there was still this social construct and representatives start like, you have to go to college and come to college and you need a college degree, but it wasn't expensive, would it be different?
Well, let's use the military. So the military goes and breaks things and kills people, right? Mm-hmm. And so they go out and recruit people who are big, strong, and are likely to be able to be good and kill people. So if you're guidance counselor, if you go to them and they're like, you're not college material, you're not going to be a killer, you're not going to add value to it, you should not go to college. Now it's not predatory because they're actually trying to filter out the people who are not going to be great learners and not going to be great, a great customer for that product. So if I sold you a computer and you don't need a computer, you came to me and said, hey, I play solitaire. And I'm like, I got this gaming rig for you. It's only predatory if I basically qualify you into something that you absolutely don't need. And I try to make you a customer, right? Mm-hmm. Against better judgment, somebody who knows better, who I'd be like, no, you don't need, to play solitaire. You need a cheap device and whatever. So qualifying people in and out of something. Is it surprising that every kid should go to college? Do you really believe that? Every kid should go to college? but yet socially we're taking innocent souls, and in predatory nature, we're making them a perfect qualified customer into a system, regardless of who they are. Yes, we are preying upon kids.
Yeah, I see that. Diane says, I don't agree it's a scam. However, I think it is revenue generating for all the bogus requirement courses. Why do I need to take classes I've already had in high school? Even if you test out, you still have to pay. And that I could see. Like I said, I do think there was value in college once you got into what you were actually interested in there for. But yeah, all the like prerequisite, all the like basic courses that you have to do that are just kind of review of everything, and here, pay for all these courses, and then we'll get into like your major, what you're actually here to do. That feels a little BS.
Well, it's just a business. That's why I say it's a scam, because it's being presented as not a business. It's an institution, right? That makes specialization. And then they throw like add-ons. You know, you go buy a TV and they want to sell you a surge protector and an extended warranty and, a static clamp and all of that kind of stuff, right? It's just a business that wants to sell you products. You go to buy cable and you get 900 channels of things that you don't want. It's a business.
Yeah.
It's not an academic institution. They are selling information of which you can get for free today.
Yeah.
And as soon as I tell you that, then you're not being preyed upon.
Now that I think about it, it is kind of frustrating to like sit in a classroom with a professor whose accent is so thick you can't understand a word they're saying, teaching a subject matter you don't care about. You're fighting to stay awake because you have to be here and you have no idea what's going on. And even if you could pay attention and understand what this guy's talking about, it's a subject matter you don't even care about. And you're paying for this experience.
Yes. Yeah. And you lower your standards. In any other situation, you would be pissed off. If you went to an amusement park and you were treated that way.
I came to go do this. Why am I sitting here?
If you went anywhere else, but there's this social scam that's going on that somehow you will tolerate really substandard presentation at a high cost premium, right? And at the end of the day, if you get a piece of paper put on your wall, you will argue that it was totally worth the effort.
I remember somehow I missed the information that I guess everybody's given when you become a freshman in college. I did not realize until I was a senior that I had to have a minor to graduate. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like a couple months away from graduation. We have to have so many hours in a minor in order to graduate. And I'm like, you're not going to stop me from graduating because I didn't realize I had to go and take more unnecessary courses. And luckily I was like, well, what do I already have a lot of time in? If you do so many more hours of sociology, that could be your minor. Fine, let's do it. Sociology is my minor just because I want to get out of here. Like, that was in no way my plan, why I want to be there, what I'm trying to do with this in the future. And somebody said, you've got to pay and you can't get this piece of paper that you are paying for until you do these other unnecessary things.
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
Timeshares. Hey, sit on this segment, right? And we will send you to the beach for free, $1,000 value, right? And you get there and you're like, okay, all I gotta do is sit here and listen, right? And then I'll get the thing that I want. And at the end, they're like, well, you have to fill out these 6 forms and you have to refer 3 people in and you have to do this. And you're like, oh, come on. Like, you didn't say that at the beginning. Because I'm captured in this place, now you can throw a bunch of also things. And they're like, no, if you read the fine print on it. I didn't read the fine print. Right? This is a freaking timeshare.
It is. Gosh, now you're firing me up because the more I think about it, I'm like, you paid. It's not like they're paying you, so you're sort of at the mercy of what they're requiring.
Yeah.
You are paying to go do something you wanted to do, but you have to follow their requirements and pay for what they want you to do in order to do the little bit that you actually paid to come do.
For sure. Okay, so if it's predatory lending, right? Everybody agrees that it's predatory lending. Stop issuing loans, right? Don't make them government backed. The people who can afford it can buy whatever they want. Nobody's going to get in their way. The people who get themselves in bad mathematical, positions because they don't understand how to read contracts or loan agreements. They just don't get it. And then everybody can go out to the free market and buy whatever information. You take 1/4 of the classes that you paid for, and it's only in your specialty. You make your argument about how the extra classes you took in lesbian basket weaving contributed to the social impact and your trajectory in life. I'm not buying it. I just learned whatever I wanted to learn. And there's probably some things I didn't learn that my peers did. Stack them up against me.
Let's see if it matters.
Stack it up against me and find out if any of that is serving them in their professional career. I like just purchasing them. It would be really cool if they did really decentralize academics and they published classes that you could go sit in and you could just pay for the class and that's it. So when there is a requirement, like if there's I'd love to sit in a couple physics classes where someone who is trained in physics gives a presentation on a topic, go pay my $50 so that he shows up for the day. And then I go on and go read my books and do my testing. Doesn't have to be, what's that? Gatekept. I have to take 900 classes to get the one thing that I want.
Yeah.
Scam. It's a scam. Jared says peer pressure and predatory based on escalated costs. Joe, buy all the books to be a surgeon or be a teacher and go into practice. I bet you I could become a surgeon. I bet you I could. You would have to tell me that in order to become a surgeon, that the only thing that you would need is you would need to have somebody, just like AI would do, template what a surgeon goes through, right?
Yeah.
And then once it's templated of everything you have to do, I could do it faster and more efficient, and all of the resources that person did is available to me, and I can just go do all of the exact same things. You would not be able to know the difference.
Did you hear I saw an article recently about a surgeon that performed laparoscopic surgery. You know the robots they have now that will do surgery. He worked the robot from another country.
Oh, yeah.
He was in one country, patient was in another, and remotely worked the robot arms and performed surgery from a whole other country.
Yep.
You could totally do that.
For sure. Absolutely. If you can teach a robot, you can teach a Joe.
If
a robot can't be taught,
same thing.
If you can't, if a robot can't be taught, where it's not just a series of tasks in a proper order with proper analysis on data, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you just tell me what the data is, and I could do the same thing a surgeon can do. And if a robot can do it, I can do it. Government wouldn't allow it. That is true. You got another gatekeeping thing. So that's why I say it's a scam, because there are gatekeepers that are in control of what it is that you do. It's not a free market where you could just go buy information and specialization when you need it. It's gate kept by people who have a business completely behind that gate, and you have to buy a whole lot of stuff, right, at a high cost. And so, do you know Robert Kiyosaki?
No.
Oh, smart dude.
Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah, he's you either love him or hate him. And I started reading his books back when I was a kid. And he basically makes these predictions of bubbles, right? And you've probably been through a couple of bubbles in stock market bubble, real estate bubble. You've experienced those, I'm sure. Do you remember them all?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's a bubble? What do you mean?
So you have a free market that basically is self-correcting. It has its ups and its downs. You have the stock market that goes up, and then it corrects and goes down. So you have these market forces that basically make it authentic, right? And government gets in the way of authentic because they want something to happen that's not naturally occurring. So what they do is they create an inauthentic gravity that basically creates a bubble of activity that's not real. And you can't maintain an inauthentic, unreal for a long period. And then you get this thing that grows inauthentically, it gets out of your control, it bursts and wrecks everything. And so when you look out at what government regulations and what politicians are doing, every time they are doing something that's not happening naturally, they're creating a bubble. And right now, the bubble is student loans. Okay. And Robert Kiyosaki, this was probably the end of the 90s, early 2000s. He predicted the bubble that we are experiencing right now. He predicted the real estate bubble from 2008 to 2009, and he predicted the loan bubble. And next after that is the credit card bubble. There's 3 bubbles in our lifetime that are going to probably happen in close succession that we're going to experience, again, because we don't learn the lessons of the previous bubbles.
So the bubble being something created based off of not an actual, real, tangible thing.
Inauthentic. And it bursts.
Is that kind of like how, what was it? This was just earlier this year when we were talking about the stock market crash because of
the Fed.
What was it?
The Fed.
Is that what it was? I remember saying something to you like, we're only in this position because everybody talked about, oh my God, we're in this position.
Well, there are some like panic that affects the market, but I'm talking about like from a technical standpoint of when you build inauthentic. So .com bubbles, you remember that?
.com bubbles.
Yeah. So the advent of the internet, everybody started using it. So people started creating companies that made no revenue whatsoever. People would basically buy these things for the potential that this company would become the next big company. And so you had a bunch of zero revenue generating companies being propped up by hundreds of millions of dollars of incoming value. It's not real. They don't make any money, right?
Yeah.
It was the whole prospect of there was so much panic in the other direction, so much zealotry into it, that they were all going to become Amazon.com. And there were thousands of companies that never made any kind of revenue, but had tons of money to spend, right? And they kept spending the money to grow their company, but they never sort of cared about the revenue side of things. And so they basically spent down all the investor money until there was nothing to be had. And then investors were like, well, that sucks. Now my stock is worth $0.
Yeah.
And they after pumping hundreds of millions of dollars.
What did we get for it?
And it busted, right?
Uh-huh.
Where if investors looked at balance sheets and basically used growth, like initial growth, like speculative stuff should never be more than 20% of what you invest in. All right. Because you don't know. You don't have data. You're guessing. It's gambling. 20% gamble. It's fun. Great. .com bubble, almost 100% of everything that people were going was speculative. And so when that bursted, it ripped a ton of money out of the economy and it tanked legitimate companies. They were caught in the .com bubble bust. And that will happen every bubble. The mortgage loans. That was a shitty one because that's similar to what we're hitting here. So basically what happened was you have buying and selling of houses, right? And certain people can buy and other people can't buy. But the government's like, we want more people to buy. And then the financial institutions were like, well, these people aren't qualified. They're just going to go belly up and whatever. And Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were like, we don't care. Like, let's just take and give them mortgages to people who can't afford it. Make the terms ridiculous. They'll buy it. We'll flood the economy with so much home buying. Look at all these people. They got home ownership.
Look at everybody who came into home ownership under this whatever.
And then
sorry.
The authentic marketplace was like, this isn't working, right? These people aren't paying back the money that they borrowed to buy these houses. Yeah. And then banks were like, oh shit, I got caught up in this whole government-backed securities thing or what Fannie and Freddie was willing to underwrite. I got to get rid of this paper. So what they did was they took the paper that they knew was about to go belly up and they circulated and sold it for pennies on the dollar, maybe 50% or 25% of what the loan value is to other people. So the big institutions didn't get all the paper. These subprimes, right? They were holding all this paper that had a huge default rate. And all of a sudden people stopped paying when things changed. And then you had all of these small institutions that just went insolvent overnight. Company after company that had huge amounts of paper just went away. And it rippled through the rest of the legitimate mortgage deal where even the big brokers got hosed in that. And then, so what do we do, 20 years later after that happens? We're like, hey, more people need to buy houses. Let's put these subprime mortgages out in the marketplace. And they're going to shuffle it around like they did last time. We're going to burst the bubble. And then, we have houses still in really, I was explaining to my kid today that his big complaint with his generation is that there aren't any homes to buy, right? There's no inventory. Why do you think there's no inventory right now?
Because we sort of gave it away before.
So when when everybody went bankrupt and their houses were taken onto institutional control, what happened to those institutionally controlled mortgages? So you had a family that really couldn't afford it. Do you think they maintained the house as well?
No.
So who bought those? Speculators, right?
Yeah.
And they flipped it, or they turned it into rental properties
Yeah.
in mass. So you had 40% of all the inventory went to the institution and got offloaded to someone who will build the house back up. And once they have ownership of it, right, they turned it into rentals. Big institutions then bought it off of those individual flippers. And now you have a majority of the inventory in the hands of institutional control rather than individuals. When those houses would have been bought by homeowners that could afford the places, then it would have stayed in individuals' control rather than institutional control.
Is that why everybody, a lot of the people that are wanting to have this idea of, I don't know how you word it, like what we're seeing in New York and stuff, where everyone's like, well, you can't.
Rent controls?
Maybe rent control and other things of that nature, where people are like, well, wealthy people own everything. There's nothing left for us because they're buying everything up.
Yep. Your road to socialism is that argument right there.
Yeah.
Okay. And same thing with healthcare, same thing with every political argument that we have. The problem is that previous generations effed it up pretty bad, right? So for instance, like health insurance. Insurance isn't the problem, right? It's pre-existing conditions that are the problem. The house is on fire and everybody's like, I want to get some fire insurance, right? Well, nobody's going to make that loan. That is a bad bet. You have people that are already in peril. And until you make non-peril people, then you can worry about insurance. But we're in the predicament, right? There's no easy answer except for get in your time machine, go back to when you're making the poor decisions, and don't make those poor decisions. So if all of the buildings are owned by rich people, what are you going to do? Break it up and give it to individuals? Goes 5 years into the future and have all those individuals F it up so bad that it becomes back in the hands of the rich people again? And so if you go socialism and you break everything up, consolidation will happen naturally. It will always, you could take all of the value, you could take all the billionaires in the world, take all of their money and distribute it on everyone else, right?
Yeah.
And it will be not but 5 to 10 years before all that money is back to the billionaires and you're screaming to do the same thing again. Because that's not what fixes it. It's not the money. Money
you just blow it.
Money
you don't
is
do
the
right
result,
thing.
right? The end, right? Refactoring it doesn't solve the actual problem. Okay, let's just say you think rent is too high in New York, right? You have two choices, right? Go to a small community that's rural, that doesn't have anything developed, spec it out, get the permits, build your own high-rise complex, and then you become the rich person that owns the building. Or buy a single family house and become a renter and build up to your apartment. You have that choice right now. And you could become a millionaire by doing the same thing that the millionaires do, that own all the property right now. It's still an option is what I'm saying. And that's what solves it better than just taking shit from, let's just say you did that. Kelin and I had a discussion and then you go off into a rural community. You buy a piece of property for, $50,000, $100,000. You turn it into a rental. That rental becomes 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Right. Yeah. And then you're like, you did the hard thing that took 10 years to build a real estate portfolio where now you're the millionaire that rents this place out. You want the government coming along and saying, oh, Kelin, here's the deal. There's people who didn't do that. And let me take everything from you and give it to them. Would you be good with that?
I'd be mad.
You'd be really mad, right? Because you were given the ingredients
My
list.
skin in the game.
Exactly.
Not yours.
The real answer is we teach people and motivate them. Stop telling they're victims. Stop telling they can't do this stuff. Stop telling the millionaires have the game rigged and say, here's how you do it. Like watch Bob spend 10 years of his life to build that same thing. You could go do it too. All of the same tools are available to you.
Question.
Yeah.
Realistically, how easy is it for just average everyday Joe Schmo to be like, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go buy a piece of property and I'm going to build some real estate and I'm going to own it. You have to get a loan, don't you?
Who says?
How do you do it?
So here, the two things. Number one, you have to fight in your own weight class. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if you have $1,000 to your name versus $100,000 to your name, you're doing two different things. But the $1,000 you name just means that it's going to take you longer than if you had $100,000 you name. But again, the social predation that's happening is that you think that you have to go get a loan. Remember, I was telling you about the car detailer that thought he had to buy $1 million building, and I suggested to him that he can do it with $500. He didn't want that option because in his head, it was already socially populated with the way that you get in business is you have a bunch of money and you spend a bunch of money, and that's how you make it.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a shortcut. And if you can go get a loan and get your building, that might work out for you. But when I was doing investing in property and commodities, right? I bought what I could afford.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to get in the, selling cars business, that if I had $500 to my name, I'd buy a $500 car and sell it for $1,000. I'd get the $1,000 and buy a $1,000 car and sell it for $2,000. If I got that $2,000, I'd buy a $2,000 car and sell it for $8,000. It takes longer to keep doubling your money up and having a specialization that helps you add value to the things that you're buying.
So don't think you're going to go buy this property, make this huge thing.
That's why I say it takes.
I'm going to go buy this shitty little thing.
Exactly. And
flip
build into
that.
it. So regular people want you take a pill, it solves their problem. Right? I don't have a whole lot of time to dick around with this. I don't have 10 years to let this thing magnify and, exponentially grow. I want what I want, and I want it now, and I want you to give it to me. That is where we go to socialism, because we think it's other people's problem to give us what we want the way that we pictured in our brains, instead of mathematically minded people to say, here's my current conditions and here's what I have. I'm going to use what I have right now to do the thing that's in my weight class to get to where Bob's at. He might be ahead of me, and I don't begrudge him. He just made different decisions than I did. I'm right here right now, and here's the ingredients, how to take where you're at right now and get to where Bob's at as quick as possible. We don't have the patience for it, because we're socially controlling people and making them have only today in mind, and what they can have right now and what they're unwilling to do. And this is taking too long, all these complaints. And then we're populating with that. Even if you do that, you're not going to get ahead because the system's against you. And that's the road to socialism.
It's like we continuously invent ways to save ourselves from ourselves.
But who's doing that? The billionaires who have all the money?
No, the people who need
non-billionaires
saving
are trying to, demotivate you so that you don't even start trying.
Save me from myself, because I
That's
don't
exactly
know what
right.
I'm doing and I make bad decisions. And so now we need a policy that saves me from what I'm doing.
That is my entire philosophy in a nutshell. So anyway, back to the predatory lending. We stop giving loans out to people who truly can't afford it. We make loans based on what you can repay, not backed by the government, because the government should not be involved in things like getting your education. You shouldn't be beholden to a government to give you an education. We don't forgive them. So right now, no forgiveness, right? We stop making anything that let's just take a 22-year-old woke college student and have them decide which ones are predatory and which ones are not. And then any ones that 22-year-old wokester says is predatory, we no longer offer them. They're off the ingredients list. We have far fewer kids going into colleges, and that way colleges can shrink down. Instead of being these business institutions, they're actually academic institutions. They're not frivolous. They're no frills. You go there, get your education, exactly what you need. And we're like, okay, we don't have these schools that have big football programs, and they don't dominate metropolitan areas. They're not these altars that we worship at whatever. They're just a business that sells information like they should be.
Yeah, like could it just be run as a business? Like you work for a college or university, you want some business you want me to attend. There's maybe some classes and some information that I'm seeking that I'm interested in. Why couldn't I just come to you and we meet and I say, I want this, this, this. I don't want any of this. I will pay you for this because that's what I'm going to use.
That's what the market does. It basically says you are the demander, and the only way that I can manipulate you is skew what you're weighing, what data points you're deciding. So if two sides of a transaction. You pay money, right? Mm-hmm. I deliver a product. You have to be happy with the product that I deliver. So if let's just say you go to a travel agent, and you pay the travel agent money, and then you have ways of figuring out if you got a good value for what you gave them. And if a majority of the people who use Kelin's travel agency are like, I went on this vacation and it sucked what I had to pay to get that. I could have done that shit on my own. If you basically make everybody pay for everything and then take a focus group and say, did you get good value for what you were sold? Then you just hold academic institutions to the same standard as the Yelp reviews for my travel agent. And if all of your customers are dissatisfied with what you're selling them, I wouldn't send another customer to the travel agent. I'd make them figure out how to at least make the customer feel like they got a good value for what they gave you, and not like, well, I had to go to a travel agent. I wouldn't if I could, but I have to. That's the relationship we have with them.
All these things I'm thinking now. When I was in college, I started an internship at a company because I was interested in that. It wasn't through college. It was something I sought out. I called them up. I said, hey, do you by chance use interns here? I would love to work here. I'm going to be an intern. And I did that on the side of going to school. Then I was required to take a class for my major where they required you to have an internship. And I was like, okay, I already have one. Can I just transfer this for the college credit? I already went and got an internship on my own before I took this class. Yeah, not a problem. Give us contact information there, and it'll be your grade for the class, the internship you're doing. Not only was that completely unnecessary, I'm already doing the internship. I don't have to pay for a class to tell me I need an internship. But the contact person there, who was in charge of feedback for my grade, of which I'm paying for, didn't know anything I did. Wasn't somebody I was working with. So if they're like, Kelin, who? Like, didn't matter that I was in early and staying late doing it. I did such a good job. They hired me after college, but the grade wasn't good because the contact person was a bad one. And I'm like, I just paid for a mediocre grade that was 100% pointless. I got what I wanted on my own. And that was required, and you pay for it for absolutely no reason.
Is it a scam? Or are you willing to say it yet? Say the words.
It was pretty dang scammy.
Okay.
It was. Again, and like we said, it's hard to just say college is a scam because there were benefits. But if you could just pay for what you're actually wanting and get rid of all the other crap.
But you would never hold that standard to anything else. If you bought a bottle of vitamins, right? Mm-hmm. And the vitamins destroyed your liver, but it gave you really good energy during the day. You wouldn't be like, all right, the vitamins are not a scam. I really did have energy during the day. And I'm going to argue, but it destroyed your liver. And you're like, well, no, it's not a full scam. Yes, there was some downside to it and it destroyed my liver, but it said energy during the day. And I totally had energy during the day. You wouldn't hold that, but you would be like, no, keep the vitamins on the shelf.
There's a very specific company I wonder if you're thinking of with that. I don't want to say it because they're everywhere, but there's a very specific company that's everywhere that sells you something that you can drink throughout the day. And I remember going to these places and I'm like, I really did get an afternoon pick me up. I really did feel more energized and focused better. And then I started to realize I'm getting up from a desk, I'm going out into sun, and I'm hydrating myself with a drink. So movement, water, sunlight. Of course, I'm going to feel more energized and focused than had I not done those things.
Yeah. So I will take what you said, which is if you go to academics, it'll take lazy, irresponsible people and force them to do things that they could do on their own, but they're unwilling to. Charge them a bunch of money, give them a piece of paper that very rarely gets them any kind of licensure through any door. Yeah. And you're going to pay for that until you're in your 60s. But there's some good stuff in there, guys. So keep doing that. That sounds like a really good plan.
I don't know if I've ever needed it. I have like maybe in job interviews said, by the way, I have a bachelor's. And they're like, oh, good. That's icing on the cake. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've ever gotten a job because of that. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Moving on from
what I've been
academics is a scam, and if there's parents out there today that will,
I still talk to my kids about going to college.
They'll still go to college because you are a great representative for the scam that is college. You are the let's rent the vacation cottage 4 weeks out of the year, pay a forced vacation way too much when you have choices of every other vacation spot. But that one there, that's a good deal. There's some stuff in there that are really amazing. You should probably do that.
What would you suggest? Kid fresh out of high school.
Yes.
No idea what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't know what I'm interested in, what field I should go into, what I might enjoy, what would be successful. What do they do?
Well, my kid's a good example. Like, I don't push college. I never have. And he's dead set on going to University of Austin for their engineering program or MIT for their engineering program. So it's setting up a bunch of stuff that he has to do in order to qualify for those. During his high school career, he's doing things to be on that resume to get accepted into MIT, specifically going to an overpriced institution to get the engineering degree so he can work for the likes of SpaceX and AI programs and whatever. He's doing all of the engineering, materials engineering, mechanical engineering, software engineering. He's doing it all, right? Mm-hmm. But he didn't discover that he wanted to get into engineering. It's when he was 7, 8, 9 years old, I would put different disciplines in front of him to see what he gravitated to. He gravitated towards math and not English. He loved sciences, but not history. And so like he started making decisions about what interested him long before it's time to decide things. He might get to engineering and say, engineering is not really what I want to do. And he can change 5,000 different times. And the world will offer anything that he puts his brain into. He's a great thinker, right? But he didn't memorize an outcome as being the only thing on there. So if he goes about and changes his mind 16 different times, I'm here for it. That's what he's supposed to do.
So kind of like when I started college and I'm thinking, I don't know what I want to do. Let me just go ahead and start doing all my what are those, like the prerequisite, all the basic courses until I figure it out. And it wasn't until my mom came to me one day and she's like, I can't believe you're not in communications. You've been pretending to be a broadcaster since you were a little girl. You pretend you're on the radio, or you pretend you're on TV, or you talking to microphones all the time and you do all this. Why don't you go do that? And I'm like, why don't I go do that? So you're saying, see what you're sort of naturally led to do long before you get to
that thing.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you turn 16, right? And your parents are like, I want to make sure that you get the car that you want. We got $200,000 sitting in the bank for the car that you want. You need to explore really what car you want before we put money into it. So what socially is like, Kelin, just go to dealerships and buy cars that you think you might want. We'll spend $60,000 on it.
Yeah. And if you don't like it, do it again.
Yeah, do the most expensive version of this. Go pay a premium for what it is before you even figured out what you want. And we'll just keep buying cars until you discover what you want. Might be when we run out of money, you just happen to have the musical chair's last car, and that's the one you're kind of stuck with and just grin and bear it. Or it's like, go to car shows and get interested in things to see what you really like. And then by the time you go to buy your car, you know exactly where you're headed. It might be when you're 20. It might be when you're 30. But don't premium spend until you're sure.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking with my daughter. She's very into baking. And yeah, part of us is sort of this mindset that we've just always been told of, sure, get interested in baking, but go to college too. Why? I don't know.
No.
But we say, you know what? Maybe you want to go to culinary school. Maybe you want to learn more techniques. And, she's like, well, I want to open a bakery one day and run the business and bake things and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, there's a game plan for that and a course for that doesn't involve thousands of dollars doing a bunch of other things that are not that.
Okay, if you budgeted yourself $10,000, right? Your kid thinks they want to go into baking. So what you do is you take a little piece of your kitchen and you make it into their baking classroom. And how much can $10,000 buy you into all of the ingredients and the experiments and the book work and the videos,
and the cooking tools,
everything that you need? How much can $10,000? And do you think that if you spent $10,000 into school that are going to teach them cooking, versus just you giving them all the utilities, let them F things up as long as they want and learn as much as they want. What do you think is a better?
I've already seen this kid do it. She is self-taught. Anything from cookies to pie crust from scratch, I have watched her do at 11 years old, and she's never taken a course on it.
I bought no less than 10 different laboratories as my kid was figuring out what he really wanted to do and how his mind actually operates. And I've spent college money before that's even was really a thing. And he's more decided on what he wants to do because I gave him samplings of what those kind of courses entail. And he got to feel like, what is mechanical engineering and why is it important? Who uses it and what's its market value out there?
And I do think, like you said, that's with YouTube and the internet,
it's all available.
Do you think it's easier? Like when you and I were little kids, and even before us, I could see people making the argument, go to college to see what you want to do. I would understand that. Because you do get exposed to a lot of different fields and how things work. But now I could see that being different. Now it's like, well, now you have the internet, you have YouTube, you have people that you could even reach out to remotely to learn things from. So now, not so much.
But I learned more from SCORE than I did any other college.
What's SCORE?
SCORE is basically a group of entrepreneurs. After they retire, they set up a little club and they pass their wisdoms down on people who are just getting started in business. So you sit down and have a lunch with someone who did what you think you want to do, and you talk about the business. Well, like when I started, it was like this. And when I scaled it, it was like this. And you get real information from someone who has done it, not just an academic who isn't doing it or hasn't done it. And they're teaching you why you want to do this thing. Like that is not a good way of knowing whether or not you want to get involved in something, by talking to someone who's never done it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a small little bakery that just opened in our town. And she's like, I wonder if the owner would ever just let me come and
volunteer. That is your schooling. That is what you should be doing.
And you get someone, like I said, when I decided here's a field I want to go into, I wonder if they'll hire interns. And it was free. It's unpaid, but you follow them around. You do what they're doing. You meet all the people who are hiring for that position. And it was an easy transition that when I was done and I had the availability, I was like, hey, I want to work here. And by the way, I've already been working here for the past year and a half. I just want to be paid to do it now. Like, no brainer.
But all throughout history, having an apprenticeship or a squireship, right, was meant that you take a person that's doing something and you shadow them and you help them, try not to get in their way, and learn from the wisdom of the person that you want to do something with. That should be a part of our protocol. You don't like pay to be a squire or an intern.
Yeah.
Right. You help that person is what you're willing to give. And in turn, they let you see what they do and you learn from them in a real world experience.
And now, devil's advocate too, you also have to make sure that you do have those people that are into that. I'm going to teach you and mentor you and mold you and show you the ins and outs of this and how this works. Because I have also seen people that see interns as their errand running.
That's exactly right.
Give me my coffee, go run this.
That's when you institutionalize interns and squires, right? You institutionalize it by, someone's not, it's just free labor. Just send me some free labor and I'll have you do some menial tasks to see. It's the wrong message to send to people who want to learn an industry.
When you get interns and it's just get this coffee, go make me copies, run this errand real quick, and they're not actually learning much, that can sort of stifle that whole idea.
It qualifies to an internship. So if I have to stomach you and send some unambitious person that has to do this when they show up, they're not going to set the world on fire anyway, and they're just going to put it on their resume because they have to. So give me some coffee and I'll tolerate you as long as I can. Yeah,
that's true. You kind of got to see the ambition in the intern.
Yeah. Jerry says higher interest rates makes more expensive to buy. New homes construction have decreased. Pandemic impact, increased demand for larger homes has caused increased demand for affordable homes. Investors purchasing properties reduces inventory and has limited options to buy. All of the prerequisites, if you want to have a shortage for people to live in things, is you took something that used to be commonplace, right? It used to be that everybody had a starter house. They were willing to buy a $50,000 house that they knew they were only going to live for a couple years, versus the high demand now of $200,000, 2,400 square foot. The standards have risen so much by what people are buying that everybody who can't afford that, there's no demand to build those houses. If I use this example before, land bank property cost me $85,000 to build a $65,000 house. Me as an investor, I'm going to take a $20,000 haircut on that versus being able to build a $200,000 house and sell it for $300,000. If I'm spending money and one of them loses me money and one of them makes me money, where am I going to put my investment money? I'm going to build the in-demand house and not dick around with the low dollar one.
Yeah.
Joseph asked if we're willing to have special guests. It depends on how special you are. So message me and tell me what makes you special. And if you're a good conversationalist or you would add it, let me prod and poke at you, then yeah.
Willing, yes.
Willing.
If you qualify. If you
want to be my squire. Real world experiences far outweigh the idea of aimlessly going to college to figure out what you want to do. Far less expensive Israel. Yes, a very expensive experiment.
Oh yeah. I'm just sickened when I think, I don't even know. I don't know what the number is and I don't want to know, but I know I threw money away for an entire semester at college thinking, I don't know what I want to do. I'm going to be an early childhood education major. And then I decided I don't want to be a teacher. Okay, then go do something else. But that was a lot of money to figure out I don't want to be a teacher.
And that's what I'm hopeful for with the dissolving of the Department of Education. What I think schools should be is they should be putting so many different things. Like we're not cultivating workers for the factory, right? Memorization and bare standards. We should be figuring out what kids' specialties are, what they're good at, and putting lots of different, expertises and specializations in front of them while they're still impressionable. Yeah. You should basically, if I threw a discipline at you, you should have had some experience in high school that gave you a sampling of that, a professional that came in and talked to you about that, some hands-on real world stuff about that before you even got to the point where you wanted to go out into the workforce and study that. But really what we're learning in school doesn't set anybody. If you get to the point where it's time to go to college, you don't know what you want to do, you just wasted 12 years of schooling.
Yeah. It's almost like you see kids have career day. Like that needs to be more than a day. Don't just have some people come in and talk to kids about different careers. Like incorporate different fields maybe into curriculum or somehow have that experience early on.
Yeah. So we're wasting literally 16 years of more than that, 16 years of kids' lives in aimlessly wandering through the most expensive helping of education and not even accomplishing bringing a standard up where everybody's at least smart in a certain capacity. It's a bad model. It's failed and it needs to be innovated and changed.
Brian says real world. Oh, we read that one. Joseph says the Noah Williams show. What's that?
I don't know. Joseph, I need to look into the Noah Williams show.
What's the Noah Williams show, Joseph?
I want to know who Noah Williams is.
Who's Noah Williams?
Noah's a cool name.
Where do you find his show? Is that on cable?
Tell us more about it, Mr. Smith.
Yes.
All right, what else? I tantrumed about something I was pissed off about.
I know, and now I'm pissed off.
That you overpaid for your education? Okay, right now, if the government gave you the ability to do takesies backsies and you were able to say, I think I overpaid, I think I got scammed, give me my money back, you can have my degree back, would you take a refund right now? But I hold on, let me tell you, I'm going to put little neural pads on your head and suck out the knowledge that you got at school. So if you get a refund, I'm taking back the knowledge.
No.
You're not taking the refund.
No. I still think I got something out of it. Now, was it what I was paying for at the time? Maybe not.
Lot of Stockholm syndrome going on right here.
I was very fortunate to make connections there that I think have helped me.
My captor gave me chocolate pudding a couple times. He's not all that bad. Why do
you argue? I'm the one who experienced it. I'm the one who has my reasonings, and you just discount them. Nope, you're wrong. You have Stockholm syndrome. You got nothing out of it.
I'm watching someone justify like a terrible outcome and at least pull a couple of pearls
I don't
of value
think I had a terrible outcome.
But if you were to take somebody who was making the same decisions you would, now you have to decide whether or not you want to put them through that expensive peril.
Can I get a partial refund? I don't want to give back everything I got. Just the really unnecessary waste of time stuff. Go ahead and have back whatever might have been planted in my brain during that semester of early childhood education. Couldn't even tell you what it was. Go ahead and take back weathering and sedimentary rocks and all that bullshit.
Now, what if I told you and a million other people in that were given that same option, and the refunds would come out of the universities en masse? Would you do it if it meant you would bankrupt every institution that now has to pay everybody back for the value that they didn't get out of their product? Now there's no institution. You just bankrupted them.
Well, thanks for putting that on me.
I mean, if you want your money back, you're taking it for stuff that you bought that you didn't get any value out of. You're not happy with the value of what they gave you. They needed that to keep the lights on, and now you take it away from them. They can't keep the lights on anymore. If the doctors can't sell you pharmaceuticals, the doctors can't operate and doctors go away. So you're going to take pharmaceutical sales pitches away from them if that means they go out of business? You kind of need them, I think. Or maybe they should go away. Maybe if they can't survive without the subsidies of selling a different product to stay afloat, maybe they shouldn't be in business at all.
I liked some of the things I got out of college.
Okay. All right. Just good enough that they can stay in business and prey upon the next generation. Let's do it.
Why is it got to be all or nothing? Why can't we, instead of getting rid of it completely?
I say it's all or nothing because today, the same thing that happened 10 years ago is going to happen in the exact same way. And 10 years from now, those same people are going to say the same thing that today's people are saying. Okay, so it's not an all or nothing. We're doing the same. It's the same.
You know who I had classes with at YSU that I've been seeing on here? When Emma Lobros talked to Julius?
Yeah,
Julius Oliver. Oh, I saw him. I was like, I had classes with him at YSU. Yeah. I wonder if we were the same major because I saw him every so often. Listen, you get to know people in college. You do. It could be a source of networking.
Let's see. Brian says point counterpoint. Kelin. Brian says the first year or year and a half of gen ed requirements are the biggest waste of time.
Yep.
And the scam of higher education.
Yep.
Prerequisites. Absolutely. I'm watching your podcast and taking notes on how we can improve our own. Well, thank you, Joseph. Thanks. That's a compliment to Kelin. I do it wrong. She does it right.
Because I did so again, my major was communications. And even once you have your major, you sort of have like this order they require you to go in. I had to take a class. I had to. It was required. I had to pay for it. It was called orientation. And the professor said to us on day one, I don't care if you show up. There's no required books or reading. There's not going to be a lot of tests. I don't care if I don't see you again until the last day of the semester. All I ask of you is on the last day of the semester, you turn in a 1-page, front only, double spaced, tell me what you hope to do in communications. What do you want to do with your life? What kind of job do you think maybe you'll use communications? How do you expect to use it in life? Turn that in by the last day. I don't care if I ever see you again. And I'm like, how much did this class cost?
That is the relationship.
You had to take it.
Writing that check out of your own checking account that you work to put in there is a way to pressure the people to give you a good value.
Now, granted, if you actually continue to go to the class, you may learn something. You may be involved in an interesting discussion, but you could also not and still be just as well off.
This is and a reason that we're belaboring this is because I am fascinated with this type of human behavior, right?
Yeah.
So like when we're talking about the hepatitis B vaccine, right? And it gets dumped from the schedule, the recommendations to give kids the hepatitis B vaccine. Like I expect the people who make money off of a forced sale of a vaccine, I expect them to defend it and say something like, yeah, I'm upset that they took this off the schedule because it means their bottom line is going to be affected. And that thing that they were selling yesterday has now been, changed. But the people who have no interest in it, the ones that fight for the thing that doesn't make any mathematical sense, I don't know why those people do it. And maybe it's because it's change and pushing against the status quo, and that makes people feel uncomfortable. But how fervently they will fight against something that they don't like. That mom that's so mad that they're taking that off the schedule has zero risk in it on either side of the equation and doesn't win or lose anything. Why they're so mad about it when they don't just fascinates the shit out of me.
Yeah, honestly, I have seen that our society has become so politically charged and polarized and used to fighting that it no longer matters what the topic is, what the subject matter is. It doesn't matter what you're discussing. Everything in this day and age has been pitted against two different sides. Everything. And you are either on this team or this team, and they'll fight that to the death. Even if it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Even if it's stupid.
Yeah. They'll fight for go to college and spend a bunch of money.
Talk about being
lesbian
captured.
Dance theory. And that's. Brian says you can tell Kelin was a communication major. No ers, ums, or likes.
Verbal pauses. Thank you, Brian, because that's exactly what I was thinking. When you're like, well, do you get anything from it? Blah, blah, blah. And this sounds basic. You're going to think it's basic, but it's not. If I would not give back any of my public speaking courses, I wouldn't. And it seems so simple, the use of verbal pauses, like, all these things.
I'm going to look it up to see if I could take that class and how much it costs.
That people use in their daily lives and daily way of speaking. If you can present yourself in front of a company or a job that you're trying to get or anything of that nature, and you don't use verbal pauses, you will come across as smarter and more secure, more competent than somebody who does. And that's the smallest, tiniest little change you can make that makes a huge difference.
How old are you?
I am 41.
Okay.
Almost 42.
Female.
Yeah.
Okay. $119 per class, 8 classes. So for $1,000, you could take that and get your communications.
What was that? What's that based off of?
Oh, I just picked a random, there's a billion people who will sell you that class. And so you can shop it.
Go to the class. You learn how to stay on time with a presentation. You learn what's important in a presentation. You learn to watch your verbal pauses and how you're coming across. That to me could even be you can even utilize that in sales and selling yourself.
But again, this is not a go to college to get the thing you want. This is an argument for know what the thing you want and go buy it from 1,000 different places that'll sell it to you directly without having to take
But it's nice if you've got one place to go get this. If I could go one place and get that course, I took gender communications and I found that very interesting. I would pay for that. It was that fascinating.
For sure.
And useful.
The buffet serving everything.
But it's at the same place. So I could go to the same place. Right. If this other course that I took something from and I
it's convenient, no doubt. And while you're there and while you're experiencing your convenience, they're going to sell you surge protectors and extended warranties. And it's fine.
But that's the thing is, let's do away with all the required prerequisites and say, this is a business. What are you looking to do? What is it you want?
That's what I'm saying. Universities can't wield their power if they can't sell you those extras.
Yeah.
Just like doctors can't set up a practice and sell without selling you tests and pharmaceuticals. It's part of their business model. And unless you set up a doctor's practice where you don't do all the things that you disagree with, right? Yeah. Then prove it. Like anybody who agrees with that, go do it in the real world and then everybody will model after you. But until then, you're going to come to the conclusion that that's the only way to really make some decent money at it. And you're going to have to do the same thing that everybody else does.
I mean, you do sort of feel like you're kind of at their mercy. Hey, I want this. This is an organization that can give me that, but they require I do this too. And that sucks.
Yes.
And if we can't change it, then I don't. I don't know what else to do.
Department of Education, the competition, let people model the things that work. And when more people, like, it's the social standard is what's stopping that from happening.
Yeah.
Like if you can take somebody who went to Harvard or Joe's community college or Joe's online education facility, all selling the same stuff, and give a higher value to the thing up here and allow them to minimize the things down here, then when I make my choice, do I want to go to Joe's online schooling session or do I want to go to Harvard? Right?
Yeah.
If all things are the same, then I'm going to pick the one that gives me the most value for the least amount of dollars that I spend. So, but if socially we put pressure on those, then that's not going to be as good as option as Harvard. Okay. The fight is about money and control, not the actual topic at hand. Brian says the speaking courses would do the people wanting to enter the remote workplace even more. The verbal pauses, etc., are so evident and definitely makes people sound less intelligent and less qualified in a position, especially.
It's a typo. Especially a position in management.
Sorry, Brian.
That's a typo. It happens. Yeah. And that's where I would get so offended. I used to hear all the time, oh, communications major is a throwaway major. It's the easy way out. It's all the athletes do communications because it's so simple. And I'm just like, maybe they do. I don't know. But I took it because it was interesting and useful. And I think you could use it in almost any field.
I know, Brian. That was just ironic. As well. I thought that was.
I'll punch him for you, Brian.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Carter says I get my education every day between 9 and 11. Do you set
except Tuesdays and Fridays?
Except for Tuesdays and Fridays. Do you set time aside for studying?
Now? Short answer, no. However, would you count like this year I'm doing the whole read the Bible in a year because I've never done it, and so I do set time.
Topic does not matter. It's where you set aside time.
Okay.
Right?
This year I have
into
done that.
Wisdom.
Yeah.
And what I told my kid is that, he does a lot of things that are off books, right? When he gets interested in a subject at school, he comes home and he and I do it together. And we always set aside an hour or two a day to delve into a topic about things that he's not learning to get so far ahead. It's not even funny. I've done that since I did my version of college. Is that Saturdays are my 3-hour days. And then every morning for an hour, I dig into something that I didn't know anything about. And usually I let the real world.
See, I had a social life. I'm just kidding. That was to get back at you for Brian.
Brian, she did that for you. Jerry says Kelin also utilizes truth of what she knows and doesn't know, stays on track and doesn't portray as someone who knows it all. She is very seldom a negative Nancy. Other podcasters are different and have a difficulty to admit they do not know and use words like
bursted. Because you said bursted earlier instead of burst. Yeah. And I didn't know if that was right or wrong. Bursted. I went bursted.
What did I say?
Is that right? I think we were talking about the bubbles.
Bubbles bursted.
And you said, and it bursted, and then this went awry. And I was like, that could be the right way to say
bubbles burst. How about that? It bursted. I like bursted better.
Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that.
And I'm thinking that there were some little other hits in there about me, Mr. Know-It-All. My wife sings Mr. Know-It-All to me on a regular basis. It's hard not to be around me and not think that, this collection of wisdom on this side that I feel like I know it all.
Listen, what is past tense of burst?
Bursted.
Is it bursted?
No.
Bursted didn't sound right. When you said it, I was like, I don't think that's a word. And then I immediately, true to Kelin, I said, have I been saying it wrong?
I bet you bursted is a real word.
Listen, do you know I Google words sometimes that I've used to make sure I used them correctly? Don't tell me no. I know everybody does that.
It's a non-standard past tense of burst. So it is
non-standard. So you can use it.
You can use it. It's probably not your best version, right? It's a usable word, but it doesn't put you in that high intellect. Bursted.
Yeah.
The past tense of burst.
You ever Google a word just to make sure you used it right, properly? I've done that
regularly. It's part of the learning thing. And that's what I'm saying. Like what Jerry brought up there is that there's so much ego around being thought of as stupid or people being critical of you. And even when I do a presentation, there's some arguments that I make sure that I'm not wrong on before I say it, because I'm pretty certain, but I'm not fully certain. And when you do it in the world of social media, they'll let you know about it. They will let you know that you're too stupid to be having this conversation.
Yeah, you have to just remind yourself, everybody has different strengths. Like I said earlier, don't ask me to do a math problem. I don't care how simple it is. I don't care how simple and basic it is. It will take me longer than you. And I'll look like an idiot. And I'll be like, why don't you just tell me? Can I figure it out? Yes. Will I eventually give you the answer? Yes. Will it be quick? Nope. But you know what? I won't use a verbal pause when I explain the answer. And that's a lot harder to do.
You're right.
Carter says, Jerry is hitting on my girl. Boys, don't fight over me.
Anything. Staying out. Let's talk about Muslims.
I love you guys.
Muslims. That was a segue like none other.
Let's talk about that was just like the other day when you're like, let's talk about all these offensive words. This feels like a very dangerous setup.
Why? We can't talk about Muslims?
No. Depends on what we want to say.
Over the weekend, some news about deportations of some of these concentrated Muslim communities that have gone to places like Minneapolis. And so I want to hear your thoughts first on whether or not the United States is rock solid enough to be able to take diversities from other countries, import them, and to stay true with what the United States stands for, rather than it just becoming the hellscapes of the people where they came from. Yeah. Just making it so that they inflict that upon us. Your thoughts?
I mean, the moment all I heard was, are we rock solid enough? No.
We're not rock.
I don't even need to know the rest of that sentence.
Okay.
I feel like I don't know what we're solid.
What about those imports that are culturally deficient that wrecks things that they come in contact with?
What about the imports?
What about the imports?
That wrecks things they come in contact with.
Yes.
What do you mean by, are you talking about the people, or are you talking about, say your question again, because
let me do it differently.
Yeah.
Okay. Is the United States, or are the United States?
Is the United States, are the United States? Might be is.
Okay. Either one. Pick your favorite.
No, we question everything we say now.
Is it that the United States is a thing that has culture, has standards, has a way of life and doing things? And when somebody from the outside, is it they merge into our culture?
And like assimilate?
Or do they go to their speed and expect the rest of the United States to accommodate them? So the freeway is 75 miles an hour. And in my culture, I drive 45 miles an hour. So when I go in, is it up to them to get up to my speed, or should the rest of the freeway slow down to their speed?
Well, should and what is it feels different. What I think it is the latter. Okay. I think they come not everybody, but I feel like general consensus is show up and make do, because everyone else can kind of try to work around it. Ideally, you assimilate, you learn the language, you learn the way of life, the culture, you learn how to do things to make your transition as smooth as possible. Not to appease anyone already here, but to make your life easier, because you are going to be ingrained in a set way. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's, just kind of come here and do your own thing, and everybody else can just work.
Well, that's important, the do your own thing, because, I think what the United States means to me is that we build the villages. We come here, we find out that there's something not here, and we build it for ourselves, right? Versus we came here, right, to see that Kelin is set, right? And she's going to invite us over. And then I wear my shoes in the house, and I know she doesn't like wearing shoes in the house. It's up to me to take my shoes off. And even though I don't want to, because it's not part of my culture, that's her rules. And I have to follow her rules if I want to be in her house, versus me building a house so I can keep my shoes on, and it's all on me. I don't make Kelin bow to me, right?
Yeah.
Because she wants a piece of what I've already built, because that's a trough of goodness. Is to come and say, you've got healthcare and you've got a house and you've got a car. I want me some of that. And you have the choice to either build that for yourself or just take it from you and, make yours worse so mine gets a little bit better.
Yeah. I've been personally involved in situations that involved other people that were non-English speaking people. And while I would be more than happy to include other countries, other languages, whatever, it's always been in a capacity that we had to make accommodations because they don't speak English. We have to change this and we have to add this and we have to do this. And that's fine temporarily. But if you're not working towards learning English and kind of coming along with us rather than let's stifle what we're doing to try to drag you along, it can get very frustrating and it doesn't seem to make sense. Let's change 50 people in what we're doing or one person to join the 50. If your desire is, I want to come be a part of that, then come do what we're doing. We don't change what we're doing because you don't.
Yeah. Do you want to make them better by them going from a non-prosperous country to a prosperous country and not let them in on what it means to be prosperous? Or do you just let them make your prosperous country to an improper country?
Like what's the point? If you came here,
improperous,
it is now.
Improsperous.
If you came here for an ideal, a way of life, a certain idea you have, then do the things that accomplish that. Why would you not? You could just stay where you are if you're not going to do anything to get what you came for.
No, you can't put an M in front of prosperous.
Made up a word.
Dang, I made it up.
Listen, if we can get like 6, 7 in the dictionary, we can make up our own words.
We can. At least we know that when we're using the word, it is not the right usage of the word. And we can take some liberties because it's our show, and F you if you don't like it.
Creative liberties.
Yeah. So anyway, if we, United States, we're builders here. We bring our skill set and the merit of what we are, and we make the country better because we add something. So if the guy merging onto the freeway goes 45, and then everybody sees how great 45 is, and then they improve the 75 drivers and making it better or safer, they've added some kind of value, and then we can choose to go at their level because they brought new information or a new skill to the game. Mm-hmm. I don't think Muslim has so much to do with it, because I think a lot of, religions can, occupy, so long that your religion doesn't say kill anybody who's not a part of your religion, right?
Yeah,
that would be a deal breaker.
It's going to pose a problem.
That would be a deal breaker. But as long as, you can do your thing, and you have Hindus that can live next to Christians, which can live next to Buddhists or whatever, and they don't kill each other, then that's cool. They can coexist for sure.
Yeah.
But if you take a charity case country where they're literally coming from a shithole, and they are going to bring all of their experiences and their culture to you, you have to talk them out of it really quick that shithole is not the way that we do things in this town.
Yeah. And that's what I mean when I say, if you come here with hopes of being different than what you have, better or whatever, why would you not think you have to do something different? And whether that's adopt a new culture or whatnot, you should know I'm going into an entirely different type of situation, culture, area, whatever. If you don't think you will have to change in any way, I don't know why you would think that makes sense.
Now, do you think representatives should have dual loyalties? Somebody that, let's just say, likes Somalia a whole lot, but is also paid,
be like a representative of a state here, but
and really likes Somalia and does the bidding of Somalia, but is a representative of our country.
Doesn't feel right.
Do you think that if you become a representative, you should, swear loyalty to the country that is hosting you?
It feels like
and
that
get rid of the
sense.
citizenship or the loyalty to the other one that you're leaving and aren't living at the current?
Yeah, I mean, can you work for a big major corporation in the States, but say, by the way, I also represent our competitor?
Yeah. So what would happen? You work for Pepsi, and Pepsi is not fitting for you. So you're going to go to Coke and say, Coke, listen, I want to work for you, and I've got a lot of experience in Pepsi over here. I actually like Pepsi better, right? And I'm going to work here because I need a job, but I'm kind of allegiance over here.
Yeah.
What do you think the board of directors would tell you?
You're probably going to say, no, thanks.
Why? What would the risks be of having a loyalty to a different brand that you're going to give Pepsi some advantage, and they're going to try to make Coke into more Pepsi, and it wouldn't fly at all.
Yeah, there's not a lot of trust there.
Yeah. Number one, you can have someone who has no loyalty to an enemy of your culture, and you would hire them first because then you don't have to fight against a previous loyalty. But at worst, if you work for Pepsi, you got to really prove to me that you're no longer loyal to them, so you're not sabotage my company.
Yeah. Like, let me go to work for Coke in my Pepsi t-shirt with my Pepsi bumper sticker and my can of Pepsi in my hand while I'm walking into our clients.
Would never happen.
They would say, what are you doing?
The dangers of that are the same when you import people who have dual loyalties, and then you elect them as representative for those people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a non-starter. They don't waste, or they don't want to assimilate anymore. They want their place of origin to have its own little bubbles here. Keeping your heritage is definitely important to you, and exposing others to parts of your culture is great. But ramming the old country's beliefs down everyone's throats while abusing the system in this country is wrong. And especially if those cultures lead to the shithole, and you think you're somehow going to short circuit it, and you'll be able to be hosted in your primitive cultures, while at the same time, all of the rewards that came from a different benefit of a culture.
Yeah, I don't think someone has to completely give up all the things they love about their culture in order to assimilate here. There's some things you could do in your home and in your practices that are fine, but if you're going to adopt something that is completely clashing with the way it's done here with society, don't be surprised if you get pushback and a fight and it doesn't work and your transition's not very smooth. It just makes sense. You should assimilate if this is where you want to be.
So you don't believe in diversity. Diversity is not a strength.
I don't know if I'd say that. I think some diversity is beneficial.
Like what?
I think if you can bring in an outsider in any situation, and I know I'm sort of purposely being general. If you look at something like a business, if you've had the same people working in a business, in an office, on the same project for years, having a fresh set of eyes can be beneficial. Having an outsider come and take a look at things and give feedback can be beneficial. It could be somebody that sees blind spots you're not seeing, introduces new ideas that may work better. So I don't think bringing in new ideas, people, things of that nature is a bad thing all the time. I think it depends on what it is and how it's done.
It's possible that new perspective makes things worse at the same potential as making better.
It is possible.
Really, the only thing you can guarantee is that there will be a disruption. There'll be entropy. So what quells entropy?
What quells entropy is not having a disruption.
Well, you could do that, but if you want the benefit of having diversity without the mitigating the downside of diversity, you have to have something in the equation that standardizes it, so you know when something is being made worse, and you know when something is being made better. Meritocracy is something we say a lot, but what does meritocracy actually mean? In our merging example, right? There's got to be a way to figure out whether or not the person merging in at 45 is better than the 75. There's got to be like an objective point of view that says this additional thing makes things better, and here's why.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that it's made worse is that they could be too slow. They can cause an accident. You can have too disparity of speeds. And this is a way that it's going to be made worse. And when you find out that something is made worse, you stop that part from happening, right? And then you take advantage of all the upside and none of the downside. The problem, like you said, is that once things become political, we take a blind eye to the negative and we allow it to happen, even if it has no merit whatsoever, for the sake of diversity. We're going to tolerate all the things that things are made worse. And we're also going to mitigate all the benefits to having those people around, because now it is not made. The intention is not to make things better. It's not that perspective. We did it for the sake of making things different and disrupting. Right?
Yeah.
I'm a rebel by nature. I love disruption so long that you can be equally as authentic when it comes to measuring if the different thing was good or bad, and killing the bad and keeping the good.
Yeah. If you have an outsider come in and say, hey, I think this works way better and this is more beneficial, it may
Make
be
that argument.
Great. But if the same outsider goes, oh, and I like to do this other thing a different way, and you're like, yeah, that doesn't really work. Thanks for your input though, but we'll do this, but not that.
The assimilator, the person that's merging in, there's more responsibility on them that when they float a difference in culture or different in standard, they have to prove their point and make their claim of why it introduces better things into the equation.
Yeah.
If they get to come to the table and say, I want it because I want it, right? Then everybody else in it's like, shut up, conform, or get out.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like we're seeing this happen, not deliberately, but almost by accident. What people are rejecting versus what we're okay with.
Like, you can't come in and be like, well, you all claim you like diversity, so let me do what I want to do. I'm coming in, I'm different. Now you got to listen to me. No.
Yeah, because you have the team people who will support it even if it doesn't make things better for the sake of politics, rather than the meritocracy of it and how it makes things better culturally. We can't be we cannot be honest about the experiments that we try, because now we don't want them to be made foolish.
Yeah.
So if you take an industry, let's just say we'll take teachers, right? And teachers are dominated almost a woman's industry completely. And then I say, I want diversity. I want to bring men into the teaching profession, right? I'm suggesting a status quo break. So I want people of objectives to say, okay, this introduces complications. Let's make sure that it's worthwhile and be honest about those complications. Thank you, sir. Then you can ferret out all the downside risk. What does having men in the building with children present? And what benefits of having men in the building with children, what does that also present? And if I wanted to inauthentically introduce more men into that field, I have to make sure that I'm protecting us from the downside of having men while magnifying the pro side of having men in the field.
Yeah. But I feel like we're not, when I say business, I use that as a play on words. We're not in the business of doing what makes sense in this country.
Yeah.
We're not invested in what's right, what's good, what makes sense, what will work. It's your team versus my team, and we got to win. However we do that, even if it makes no sense or it's not beneficial.
Yeah, and so like if we close the borders and have zero immigrants and really got rid of all the people who shouldn't get here to get a starting point of who we want to introduce into this country, that would be a really good thing, because we have like 5 forest fires going on and we're talking about fire prevention, right? First thing we got to do is put out the fires first and get the stupid things to stop happening before we take and magnify those blind spots of not knowing when we introduce new entropy into our country, how to manage it to completely stop introducing new variables in there until we get a handle on what's already here.
Yeah, I agree.
The Ellis Island immigrant generation was and is far different than what we are seeing now. They held their heritage and culture in high regard while assimilating to this country, and that includes language and traditions. Because when they had to come here, they had to compete, and the competition meant that if they didn't assimilate, they couldn't compete, and they came here for different reasons.
I mean, they would change their name.
Yes.
In order to
think about what was happening, though. They came here to build. The people that came here went to work and they built railroads, they built buildings, they built this country. Right now, the immigrants don't have anything to build. They're just here to take advantage of what is already built. It's a different immigrant.
Yeah. It would be interesting if you could like poll or something, like immigrants that come because they feel like they have something to offer, that there is a mutual relationship. I've got something that is going to benefit you all, and in turn, I'm going to have a better life, and I'm excited and motivated and ready to take initiative and be a part of this, versus people that come here for a better life. Period. Like, well, what do you have to offer? Well, I don't want to be there anymore.
That's exactly right. They're escaping. Like if all of the immigrants, you have one country that's far ahead of everybody else, has done that most dynamic economy and culture of any other country. And I want to go there because that is valuable to me. And makes every country a place that lots of people have really good justifications to leave. In comparison between where you're coming from and where you're going to, like there are way more opportunities. But if you don't have to make the argument for what you bring to the table to offer the country that you're coming to, and it's a charity case where, oh, you don't have anything to offer, you're just going to take care of all of our social services, but it sucks over there, then that it's immigration charity, not immigration to build.
Even if you were someone that were like, I don't know what I have to offer, I don't really have any crazy innovative ideas, but I do need to get out of here. I do need safety. I want to come here. Okay. So show us then what you're willing. I will assimilate. I will work to learn the language. I will work different jobs. I will do whatever. I will earn what I'm going to receive while here. And I'm going to work to make my life better. Not just show up and be like, take care of me. Well, I come here because you're going to take care of me. You know, it's almost like, where's the intention? Where's the... I don't want to say gratitude, but maybe.
All right. So in elementary school, there was always one kid in every class that was of a different religious persuasion, and you'd say the Pledge of Allegiance and they would not say it. Right. You had a kid in your class, I'm sure, think back through your history, and they would sit during the pledge.
I don't know if I did, but I've heard lately of kids doing that.
Okay, or celebrating Christmas or any of the holidays and whatever.
We had a kid who was Jehovah's Witness.
There you go. All right. So they didn't partake in those things, and they were allowed to just not partake in those things. They were on the outside of the traditions of what culture did on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. Now, is it up to the majority to then also don't celebrate those things so that we don't create a contrast between the person that's celebrating? So if I don't want to say the Pledge of Allegiance because it's against my religion, but everybody else is, and that irritates me and I don't like that, so should we make it so that nobody says the Pledge of Allegiance? No. And what happens if it's reversed and you're the person that is on the outside, and then you walk into a place where you are at a cultural disadvantage by being the only one not part of it? Now, do you have expectations that it makes you feel bad and you wish more people would not do the thing that irritates you?
I mean, if you're irritated by the thing that's done in a culture, you don't have to go to that culture.
Okay. Well, it's a good microcosm of it because it takes the camera angle and puts it on the person experiencing it. And the only reason that the tradition is done is because it's in the majority, and majorities have a habit of flopping. And if you're on the other side of the majority, you feel differently when you're included in part of that majority.
Yeah.
And so in standardized culture, do we want to whitewash everything so that there's no culture that is either appropriated or, at a disadvantage, and make it vanilla so that we don't celebrate any culture? Or do we do all cultures where we say the Pledge of Allegiance and then we do All Hail Canada, and we, go through all of the litany of things so that we accommodate everybody that's in the room, because the everybody one leads to the nobody super fast. And then the majority gets to the neutral also super fast. So the homogenization and the dilution of culture down to different. As soon as you introduce the entropy of having multicultures, you have vanilla because one person feels bad, and then the rest of the culture serves the person in the minority, and all of a sudden you vanilla-ized. That's a new word too. Vanilla-ized all of culture.
Yeah, I mean, I keep thinking the way I relate to it is, my daughter can't have gluten. And so she and I stopped eating gluten a couple years ago. And when we go to events where we know there is food, we either bring our own or we eat before we go or whatever. You make accommodations for yourself, because why would I show up and make everyone else at this entire event suddenly change their menu and what they can and can't do?
And you've been honest about being in the minority.
Now, if we show up and they say, by the way, we knew you were gluten-free and we got a couple things for you. Wonderful. Thank you for including us. That's so kind. But that's not the expectation. And it shouldn't be, you better do that to accommodate us or we're insulted. Like, that doesn't make sense, because then, okay, what if someone else can't have peanuts and someone else can't have dairy and someone else is not having sugar and someone else is, like you said, are we doing all of it then? Or are we just going to have our set and you can figure it out? Like, we're not going to do every single anthem at every single sporting event.
Well, we've done this over time. Like somebody even mentioned it in a comment, is that there's a concentration of these groups, these people that are from Somalia, and end up going and putting their own, cul-de-sacs of culture together. That was actually a good turn of a phrase there. That was cul-de-sacs of culture. And they live amongst one another. They celebrate the way they're now the majority in that areas, and they've got representation for them to the federal government. We had portions of cities that were the Italian side of town and the Chinese side of town, and these groups got together. They concentrated. They didn't force it on everybody else. We would visit them and eat their great ethnic food, and then we'd go back to wherever we came from. So it's possible to have have a black college, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think if somebody wants to set aside to be around people of like culture, creed, religion, and the rest of us kind of just let you do your thing as long as you don't inflict any kind of damage, that's the real question. We know we can do it because we have done it over the time. So long that the culture isn't in conflict with those other cultures, then it becomes a problem.
Yeah, I mean, how often does someone in the States, you could go to a restaurant of whatever nationality. Hey, I'm an immigrant from this country. I opened a business where I share my culture and my food and my ideas. And people can come here and say, wow, this is really interesting, or this is really great. But then they leave and they go and continue to do the other cultures and live that way. And I think there can be a balance.
Right. Yeah. I'm not going to force a Chinese restaurant to serve hamburgers because that's what I want to eat. Yeah. When I want a hamburger, I'm going to go to the best hamburger joint that I can find. Easy Poll asked those that are either went through or going through the naturalization process compared otherwise. Entitlement is a stinky cologne, Kelin.
It is, yes.
We've had those cul-de-sacs of culture. I invented a turn of phrase. Four generations, Little Italy, Chinatown, Little Havana, etc., etc. And that is well done. We've had it modeled.
Yeah, here we have the Italian Fest, and there's Greek festivals, and there's all kinds of stuff. And it's like,
yeah, we've been doing diversity of cultures forever.
Yeah,
from the very beginning, and take those models and figure out what makes them work and what makes them break down.
And I think people are willing to be very supportive of that. Mm-hmm. I think people really like going to learn.
So why are we afraid of Muslims? Why wouldn't you bring that word up and invent, like, what do you know about the Muslim religion? Do you think it's a religion of war? Do you think it's a religion?
I've heard, ideally, it's actually all about peace.
Okay.
And not murdering people. But there are extremists that have maybe tainted or given it a bad name. I mean, honestly, since 9/11, I think that's when Muslim became a scary term because of.
Do you know or have lived around anyone that is of the Muslim faith? Is the Muslim faith the Islamic faith? I think it's Muslim faith.
Is it Muslim or Islamic? I don't know. I don't think I have any. Not personally, no. I don't think I have. Have you?
Oh, yeah.
Do they seem like a peaceful people?
They're just regular people to me. I've lived around them. I've talked to them. They're regular families. Like, I don't see. There's no extremists from what I know of those people that I've known and lived by. Zero. Like I've had no fear
Yeah.
of Muslim people.
I'd imagine there's quite a few here.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you go to countries of Islamic faith in those countries, is there violence done in the name of their religion? Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that more has to do with the countries than with the faith.
Yeah.
And every religion is used to justify violence. It always has been to the beginning of time. And so that's my only, it's not that you want to come here and practice your religion at all. Like the religion doesn't scare me. But when you are an immigrant leaving a country and you're leaving it because it's terrible, I'm looking at you to make sure you don't bring a piece of that country to where you're at, because then the violence that's done in the name of religion might be commonplace. It was awful, and I believe it was awful because violence was done in the name of religion. So if you bring that to Minneapolis, and I see evidence that religion is being bastardized to do violence, then it's like, stop doing that until we can figure out and assimilate out of the violence culture in that religion.
Yeah. And I don't think that should be considered a bad thing.
Yeah.
I feel like so many people, maybe to one side politically, want to automatically start shouting, you're a terrible person if you in any way question or try to stifle or maybe even look sideways at any other culture or religion. And it's like, listen, I'm not saying we can't ever have that culture here. I'm saying there's some steps. Let's be careful. Let's make sure it's done in an effective way. And that's not a bad thing. It's not bigoted. It's not racist. It's not whatever, to just simply do what makes sense and to want to protect everybody.
Well, that's why this kind of speech is important, because you can talk about it objectively and with people. I don't care either way. I don't have any skin in the game on either side. I'm looking at details and data and looking at it from an engineering standpoint. I'm just giving you the mathematics side of what it is. There's no, like you said, there's no bigotry in what is. I have no hatred or fear of anyone.
Yeah.
And so
we don't think we're better than
But again,
anyone.
more conversations about this. I don't want to hear the people that are zealots on either side, that, Muslim religion is incongruent with Christian beliefs and this is a Christian nation. That's warring words. That's not going to have any outcome other than shut the door, but I'm only doing it for, ideological reasons.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sharia law. That is the one flavor of Islamic teachings that is absolutely incongruent with not just religions, with a very extremist viewpoint from what I know about it.
Yeah.
From the beginning in America, are we sure about that? Oh, crap. What was I talking about in the beginning?
I don't remember either.
Immigrants coming from the beginning, coming here as workers and building.
I don't know, Todd. You might have to elaborate. Sometimes we get comments, but we've already talked so far after that we no longer know what you were referring to.
When you say beginning of America, are you thinking of like pre-revolution days? Do you think revolution days? Do you think industrial revolution days? Like what do you snap to when you say that?
That's a good question. Beginning of America.
Yeah, because when the French and the English were early on before the revolution, there were hundreds of years of that. And so if you're thinking the beginning of America was the European influence, is different than the colonies and the revolutionary era.
Just starting it, or thriving, or innovating.
So when somebody brings up the Statue of Liberty, I snap to Industrial Revolution, when we were importing, and lots of people from Europe were coming here to work, to build the railroads, to build the cities and towns and buildings. That's where my brain goes.
Well, that's kind of like, have you ever heard somebody say, "Make America great again"? When was America great? What do you think?
I studied the Industrial Revolution. I think that was our greatest time. I think that's when everything was needed to be invented. You had people that were drilling their entire lives into making a difference and creating things. I think that's when things were great.
Yeah. When people worked hard and valued that.
Yeah.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
When people weren't entitled.
We're too soft, and we are too entitled, and things are too comfy. It doesn't make people get out of their house and go build something. It makes them just enjoy what's already been built.
When people knew how to live off themselves and survive and not depend on others or the government.
Yeah, but it is harder too. Like if I was born in the late 1800s, when all of the everything mechanical, everything, all the best innovations happened in that era. Like right now, lots of things have already been invented. I have to try so much harder and have so many more resources to invent today's technology inventions. If I were back then and I can snap some gears together and make some automations happen, I bet you would have been a whole lot easier to be dynamic and build and create.
And that's kind of like what we talked about last week when we were talking about the different generations now. Like everybody wants to shit on the younger generation and how they're not as great as the older ones, but they were made from the older ones. Mm-hmm. Their situation, everything they know was made from the older ones.
All right. We hit a lot of territory. Thank you, Kelin. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We will catch you next time.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow